Hi. Thanks for coming here right after the lunch. I hope that you had a good lunch. Um, Before I get started, I have a quick question. Does anybody recognize these two? It might be a question about how much I'll like you during the presentation. Yeah? Frodo and Sam from The Lord of the Rings. Do you all now have like, oh yeah, I see it moment? Maybe? Yes? No? Anybody that has not watched The Lord of the Rings here? Okay, great. We're going to have an amazing time. Because I've done a lot of things with The Lord of the Rings, and I rewatched it recently, and then I saw that Sam was not as blonde as I remembered him to be. I was like, why did I think Sam was this blonde? Anyway, um, my name is Alexander Chatzizacharias. I've been traveling a whole Europe, giving talks, presentations on tech, and it's so nice to be somewhere where I can say my last name, and people are like, yeah, that sounds like a normal last name to me. Because if I go to Sweden or Norway or whatever, and I try to pronounce my last name, people are looking at me like I'm casting some sort of spell or something like that. I do live in the Netherlands for 15 years. I'm half Greek, half Dutch. And in Greece, I'm from an island called Kos. Does anybody know it by any chance? Kos? Has anybody been there? Okay, it's an amazing island, right? You should all go there for vacation. I go to a taverna called Nestoras if you go there too. Might be owned by my family. I have a couple of hobbies. I occasionally boulder. I have a way too expensive Magic the Gathering card collection, if you heard of that. And I like to play games and I like to make games. And that's also something you'll see during the presentation, hopefully. And I work for a small consultancy in the Netherlands called J-Driven. So we are all Java GVM nuts, better said, focusing on expertise around the GVM and technologies around the GVM. And that's about me. Who here is a Java developer, actually? Oh, okay, the majority. JavaScript or TypeScript, better said. Okay, nice. What else do we have? .NET? Ooh, I wish somebody from Microsoft was here to see this. Go, it's also quite popular. Okay, one, okay. Rust? Okay, now the hardcore stuff. C++? Hardcore. From Italy, right? You're looking like me, hardcore, and it's easy. Okay. So, yeah, so this is a slide where I teach people how to pronounce my last name, but it's not necessary here, of course. What is kind of interesting is I asked an LLM if it can pronounce my last name. So I was, hey, hello, my AI overlord, because that is where we're heading at. And then it answers with, hello, my loyal human. So they know, they're just hiding it. Be careful. And today we'll be talking about RAG. Has anybody heard the term RAG before? A couple, okay. And who here doesn't work with LLMs in their day-to-day job? Oh, a couple. That's a little bit unsurprising. Do you still use Stack Overflow if you have answers or issues like that? I'm just curious. I mean, it's valid. Or you never have issues. That's also possible. That is not how I work. I was like, nowadays, if I need to declare a variable, can you declare this variable for me? Thank you, copy paste. So like 3.5 years ago, it was like, I like to call it D-Day. It was the day ChatGPT was released to the world, right? Who remembers what were they doing that day? When you opened your phone and you saw ChatGPT can do whatever you want. And then you went on the website, chat.openai.com or whatever. And then you started prompting it, asking it if it can pronounce strawberry and things like that. It's like, oh, it's so stupid. When that released, I went on a, let's say, adventure to try and find out how do those things work. How does a large language model like ChatGPT actually work? Very quickly, you find out that they rely on vector databases, vector embeddings, and things like that, and that they have a significant and, well, quite large weakness, and that is their context windows, right? So who here hasn't heard of context windows in LLMs? Okay. So a context window is basically how much input an LLM can get, and the output is based on that context. And LLMs are all trained on historical data. So that means they have data of a couple years past. And RAG is something that they came up with to alleviate that issue. So I decided for myself, okay, let's see what this RAG is all about, what can we do with it, and if it actually helps with this weakness LLMs have. So what is RAG? If you Google it, this is a little bit what you'll be seeing around. Beautiful UML diagrams, or what kind of diagrams you want to call it. It's quite overwhelming if you ask me. But I think if you try to simplify it, RAG is a technique that allows you to make LLM responses better by injecting your own data in the prompt. So basically what you do is, a user is doing a prompt, you capture that prompt in your backend system or whatever, and you use that prompt to gather data from your system, from your services or whatever, databases or cache layers or you name it, and you put that data in the context of the LLM, and then you send it to the LLM to get a better response of things that it does not know about, like your proprietary documents or you name it. It was coined a couple of years ago with this paper, and if you ask me, it is a horrible name. RAG. It's like, if you hear it, retrieval augmented generation, it says nothing. And thankfully, the people that wrote the paper agree. So in an interview with NVIDIA, they said, we definitely would have put more thought into the name had we known our work would become so widespread. And if this doesn't summarize our industry, I don't know what does, right? Like out of nowhere, we come up with something, the industry just grabs it, just goes with it. It becomes so widespread that you hyped up, and suddenly it is the de facto name for whatever. And oh boy, did companies run with it. So these are all types of RAG. And every company out there tried at some point to, coin a little bit corner of the market with their specialized version of RAG systems, of retrieval strategies. I put one in there that does not exist. Can anybody guess which one? Regular RAG? I'm sorry. Radio? No, that also exists. Sorry? Also exists. Also exists. Golden Retriever? Oh, so yeah, no, exists. Also exists. Also exists. Okay, now we're just gonna call them all. So matrix RAG. So yeah, that one doesn't exist yet. Maybe some of you will see this and like, hey, that's a cool name. I'll make that. So yeah, as you can see, it is an extremely fast-paced industry right now. The whole LLM, AI, gold rush. And big tech, smaller tech, startups, they try all to come up with their own systems and their own solutions to this context issue that LLMs have. And it's really actually quite hard to keep pace. Whenever you read about something about AI or LLMs and you're like, what the hell are they talking about now? Just remember, it's fine. It's impossible to know everything that they are doing nowadays. And today we'll be focusing on multimodal RAG. And multimodal basically means that your systems, your RAG flows, can support different modalities. So, well, typically you'll be using text, JSON text or strings or whatever. But if you also want to support audio, video, images, IMUs, point clouds, etc., at that point we're talking about multimodal RAG. So you can support different types of input. And today we'll be focusing on these three, the three that I think are the most used overall. Anybody that works with audio on their day-to-day jobs, by any chance? No. Images, by any chance? Also not, okay, but I promise it's gonna be interesting. What's really important to understand how everything works that you'll be seeing today is we have two types of models that do most of the heavy lifting. Embedding models and large language models. Who has not heard of embedding models before? Oh, a couple people. Okay. So embedding models are actually machine-trained programs, you could say, that get an input, and the output is an array of numbers. We call that an embedding or a vectorization output. And it's basically a vector, so it's an array of typically -1 to 1 floating numbers. And those arrays hold a semantic meaning of the input. So if you did, hello, my name is Alex, I would get an output with a couple numbers, and that would be the vector representation. And that is what allows LLMs to do a semantic search on what you're searching, what you're typing, finding what's in their system, and predicting the outcome. And I'll assume that everybody has heard of LLMs by now, right? And has used them at some point past 2 years. And then I thought myself, okay, that sounds kind of cool. I like to play games. Can I make an RPG village using these techniques? And then I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan. I love it. Best movies ever made. Don't know if they're the best books ever written though, but you know. So I figured I'll make a village in the Tolkien mythos, in Middle-earth. To do that, there are 2 different flows. One I've already done because it takes a couple of time, and that is the data ingestion flow. And that is basically preparing your databases with data to be queried runtime. So images, text, etc., they'll already be put into a vector database, and they'll be ready to be queried. And then, of course, we have runtime, and that's what you'll be seeing today, right? So we do queries, and the system pieces all the data it needs together to give a cool output. We'll be using VV8 as our database. VV8 is a vector database. Anybody heard of it before, by any chance? Okay. No particular reason why VV8 over other vector databases. I just thought they had a cool name. Backend, I'll be using Spring Boot. Anybody using Spring Boot on their day-to-day? Okay, most Java developers, of course. With LangChain4j. LangChain4j is an abstraction layer on top of all kinds of LLM providers and things like that. So we use it to not have to implement our own calls to Olama. And it's all written in Kotlin. Any Kotlin developers here by any chance? Yeah. So Kotlin, I tell you, once you go Kotlin, you never go back. Really, give it a try. And the front end is made in Unity. Unity is a game engine. You might have heard of it, might have not. It's not really super relevant for today. And there is a little bit of Python in there. That is a big one I forgot to ask. Any Python developers here? Okay, you're in the right industry, right? Because Python, of course, is king when it comes to AI and LLMs, etc., etc., etc. So there were some things I couldn't do using the JVM, so I had to resort to Python. All right. So when the idea was to make a village in, the Shire, but I very quickly found out that LLMs knew everything there was about the Shire, pretty much, because they have been trained to death on the books of Tolkien and the whole the other ones. So then I figured, okay, how about I try to make or inject a peaceful village in Mordor with orcs into the mythos, into Middle-earth, like it was written by Tolkien. And the whole premise is that Frodo stumbles upon this village and interacts with the orcs in that village. So it doesn't exist. The first thing that we want to be doing is moving NPCs around. Let me just start the server first. So we're starting the server. So I gave this talk a couple months ago. And a person from Red Hat, now IBM, came to me and was like, if you use LangChain4j, you probably want to use Quarkus because we have first-class citizenry support for it, et cetera. But me being a lazy developer, everything was working, didn't want to port my Spring Boot application to Quarkus, so I did the next best thing and just changed the banner from the Spring banner to the Quarkus banner. Close enough. So this is started, and let me just start up the game as well. All right, so Frodo comes into this little village and is like, we seem to have stumbled into a different kind of village. Sam is going to search for some taters for a stew dinner. And we need to walk around and ask how we can get to Mount Doom from here. And then he eats away. And then we can walk around as well. And here we can see that we are in Little Minas Morgul, or LMM for short. Okay, a couple of people got it, nice. And if we look into our logs, we can see that there are already calls being done left and right. But how that looks in a bit. So a village, like people living in a village, or the non-player characters, as we call them, NPCs, they don't just stand there the whole day doing nothing. They need to do something, right? So they need to move around. At some point, they'll have like this idea, okay, I've been standing here for quite some time. I want to do something. And we're going to help them do that using an LLM. And how that works, so we have Unity doing REST calls to our Spring Boot server. And the Spring Boot server is using a Llama 3.1 model that is in Ollama. And Ollama is like a Docker for local LLMs. So you can install local LLMs using Ollama, and then you can query them, typically using REST. Now, if there are any architects here that would immediately point out, hey, can't you just go through from Unity directly to Ollama if it's just a REST layer? You could, but I'm a backend developer by trade, and adding abstraction layers is literally my job. So I saw an opportunity to do it again, and I did it again. Llama 3.1, the model we'll be using, is a little bit old. It's almost like 10 months old now. I tried switching it to a newer model, and everything broke. Literally everything broke, which tells you a little bit about using LLMs in your production environments, right? So you're building this amazing system. Everything works fine. A couple months later, a new, better version of the models, better versions of the models released. You try to use it, and everything is broken. You have to debug it and change it all over again. So that's a little bit tricky. What you do with this information is up to you. And then if we go here, we can go to the orgs, and we can see that these two orgs basically decided to go and talk to each other. And then they're like, hey, why do you think we should stand together against the traders who want to compromise our quality for profit? That is also how I start my conversations with people. As you can see, so basically what's happening underwater is every X amount of time, we are commanding a villager to do something. And every single villager has a couple of things like a name, a job, an age, a personality, and things like that. So this could be in a database, but right now it is all hard-coded into the backend. And basically every time we talk to a villager, we send to the request to the server which villager we're talking to, and all this additional information is being put into the context, into the message that goes to the LLM. So that we know that when we are commanding villagers, that they know who they like to go to, who they like to talk to, what their personalities are, et cetera, et cetera. So then when they talk to each other, so like this, or the previous ones, here, mosh pit over here, then they actually have a conversation that is befitting to their trade and to their job and things like that. All right, so we command the villager, and we also have a second workflow in the LLM in between. We call it the judge, or the Eye of Sauron, I called it, which is a validation agent. And what this validation agent, what LLMs are not really good at, is when you're asking them to be very creative, but also restricting them in the same prompt. At that point, they kind of break. They always kind of seem to give the same nonsense response back. So what people do to work around this issue is they do one query to the LLM that allows it to be as creative as possible, and then a second query that restricts it a lot and summarizes that response. So it's like a two-pass system. And here is, because well, I want structured output because I'm gonna be parsing it in the front end. So what I did is, hey, your validation, et cetera, your output must strictly, and I mean it, adhere to the following JSON format. And really funny, if I remove this, sometimes I get back not JSON. And after I added it, I've never seen the issue again. So I don't know, sometimes it feels like you're programming against a toddler or something. Like, I mean it, this is how I want it. Oh, and I see the org that was here left. All right. So let's continue. Of course, at some point, you also want to be talking to orgs as Frodo. So what's going to happen then is, hey, we go to an org, we have questions. And at that point, we're also querying our vector database to find any information that could be relevant to the query that we did. And I have here like a history of Little Minos Morgul through the ages. Completely made up, right? So this whole history is made up. But every time we talk to an org and ask something, this document is chunked and saved in the vector database, and we're trying to find information that is relevant to the query, and we inject it into the prompt that goes to the LLM. And the LLM can then knows about Little Minos Morgul and what it does and that it actually exists and stuff like that. Okay, so let's go to this person over here. Hey, who are you? He's Grishnach, nice to meet you. I tend to these lands and help bring life to this beautiful village of Little Minos Morgul. Cool. We managed to create a peaceful haven here, despite all the darkness and conflict surrounding us. It's a beautiful thing, isn't it? Does anybody have a question for Grishnach? Really? How about, do you like gyros? Yes, we have a lovely vendor who comes through occasionally with all the sorts of tasty grilled meats. I'm sure the gyros are delightful, but I must admit, I'm more fond of our farm-fresh produce and home-cooked meals. There's nothing quite like a hearty stew after a long day's work on the land. Man, it sounds like my dad when it comes to my grandmother's food. Why would you go outside for food when your grandmother is cooking every day? I don't know. Anybody, you can ask whatever you want. You can even try to break my demos if you want. The best boys band. I mean, if it doesn't say Backstreet Boys, then I'll be disappointed. Boys bands, I'm afraid we don't get much news from outside our lands, but I do love a good tune. The younglings of the farm are always dancing together, and perhaps you're thinking of the Minos Morgul's Melodiers. So there, there you go. And sorry? Yeah, sure. Okay, so we're talking to Grashna. Let's say, do you know where, what is it spelled? Grishnach is? Let's see. He's by the way spinning tails for the children. Okay, so I'm probably sure they don't know exactly where he is, but they do know they exist. You know, so there's, and if I actually keep the state of like the position of the orcs, then you could also inject that and actually get a good response of where they are, right? Why do you ask? That's my business. Very well, your business. I'll mind my own. Back to work for me. Plenty of tools to sharpen and metal to shape. Okay, that's not ominous. All right. So let's continue. So that is a little bit how TextRag works. You know, these flows are, I believe they're fairly simple. If you just take a moment and think about what they do and how they should work. All right. Then we have image rag, and this is where things get a little bit more complicated. We'll find an orc that really likes to paint. And then we'll be asking questions about images or doing things with images. Everything looks kind of the same, but we added a new model, which is called Lava. And Lava is a so-called vision model. So this model, what it does is it gets images and it transcribes those images. It tells you, okay, this is an image of a tree or whatever. And what that allows us is to use an embedding model like Clip. And Clip is a multimodal embedding model. So it can get text and images and vectorize them in the same vector space. That means that you can search for text using images and vice versa. And that's a little bit what you want, right? So somebody sends an image, you save the image in your database, and then somebody sends a text, I'm searching for an image like this, and then you can find it based on semantic meaning. Okay, speed hacks, there we go. So, how did he get there? So we have Bobu Rogosh. Okay, couple people. Totally not ripped off from Bob Ross. What happened, accident, blah, blah, blah. Hey, who are you? We can quickly ask who they are. Greetings, I'm Bobu Rogosh, orc painter from this lovely village. I just apron, which he doesn't have, it's fine. I'm here to bring a touch, beauty and hope in the community through his art. I have them displayed all around the square. So you can see he's talking a lot. And that is because LLMs, by default, they are quite verbose. They will dump you with information. And the previous interactions we had, actually in the prompt I say, okay, respond with max so many characters. And I didn't give that to Bob, or Bob who. And as you can see, he likes to talk. So then we can go here, and then we can paint something. What should I paint? A banana. Nice and simple. Thank you very much. People tell me, yeah, can you draw a duck with a saxophone? Like, what? So something like that. Okay, screwed it up a little bit in the end. Croissant. Did you just say croissant? Okay, so we are submitting this. So this is going to take a little bit longer because what's happening underwater is Olama has to stop the text model and it spins up the vision model, and the vision model is looking at the image, and then once it's transcribed the image, it will stop the vision model and start the text model again, because they don't both fit in my GPU. My GPU has like 18 gigabytes of RAM and they don't both fit, so it takes a little bit longer. I see what you created. You brought a little moment with your simple yet cheerful smiley face. Oh man. The two curved lines for the eyes. For the eyes? Where did he see eyes? Well, and he keeps going. So that is a shame. Can I see maybe he quickly what the transcription model thought it was? You should get in question. No. It's going to be, so these are log the streaming responses, takes a little bit of time. All right, so then if we move around, sorry, there we go. We find a shopkeep, and he's like, hey, want to buy some paintings? And I was like, sure, I want to buy some paintings. And now we'll see how we can actually search for paintings using text or okay, well, Jesus. So we can. The idea is that he opens a UI, but we need to prompt it correctly for him to open the UI. And that is also an issue with LLMs. It doesn't matter if you've seen them work 1,000 times correctly. That you can never be sure that they're actually going to be working correctly. It can also be that something you prompted a million times suddenly doesn't give the response back that you expected. Can I buy some paintings, please? There we go. And the idea is that, so we have a categorization agent, and when the categorization agent sees, hey, this person wants to buy a painting, it will open up a painting UI. Oh, but he doesn't. Okay. We can, if we go, shopkeep. Shopkeep. Chat with shopkeep. So if it's shopping, the customer wants some painting, ask the customer enthusiastically what kind of painting they want. So we need to find, what can we tell him so that he sells some paintings? I want to give you money. Can you sell me some paintings, please? There we go. Basically, I have to hand him the money. Okay, here we can say, I want painting of a tree. Oh wait, of the beach and the sun. I mean, we are in Crete, all right? We'll do that later. So, so now we're gonna be searching for this. As you can see, you can find something that looks a little bit like the beach, and so I put all the paintings that I could find that Bob Ross did over the years in the vector database, and you can query them. And then, so we are querying for this painting, we're transcribing them, and then he tries to sell. He's making a pitch to sell the painting to us. So a serene landscape. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. So here we go. I want a painting of a duck with a saxophone. If it finds it, I swear to God. Nah, not even close. What the hell is this? And now the same is happening again. I think the big issue is with trying to find the images I drew with text is that the images don't hold a lot of semantic meaning, right? So they're simple images, black and white, just lines. And images and things like this have a lot of semantic meaning in their embedding. So they typically are hit faster. But what I can try to do is, can't believe I'm doing this to myself again. Somebody said, is this a duck? Ouch. Something like this. Oh, saxophone. Sorry? Oh, no, of course not. Look, I'm not a biologist, okay? And there was something like... Yep. Let's see what we'll find. Oh, just a duck, not with a saxophone. But pretty close. So previous time I actually drew it with only 2 legs. Look at that. I got dumber over the time. So yeah. But as you can see, you can search, you can use images to search for images as well, right? And then of course, a quacktastic addition to your art collection. Thank you. So, well, I mean, the LLM actually saw that I was drawing a duck, so I'm happy. All right. So, where's my presentation? Here. So, so we have one thing left, and that is audio rack, right? I'm a little bit of a metalhead myself. I don't know if there are any metalheads here by any chance. Yeah. So we'll find a metalhead. And we'll be talking to this metalhead and asking him to play music for us. Or better said, we're going to try to ask him to play music for us. Let's see what happens. And then we'll hopefully find music that matches what we queried for. And this is where the Python part comes in. To make this work, we are using a so-called CLAP embedding model, which is a multimodal model for audio. So it can receive an audio file, transcribe it, and with transcribe I mean it can tell you, hey, this is an audio file that has like heavy instruments, guitars, drums, things like that. It won't say you this is this song or whatever. And text as well. So it can also transcribe text. And that means we can cross-reference our databases for audio using text and vice versa. All right. There he is, the metalhead. Wanna hear some awesome, who are you? You know, it's, be polite here. You wanna know who I am? Okay. Pounds fists on a table somewhere. I'm the metalhead, the greatest orcish power metal musician this side of Middle Earth. And he also doesn't have a maximum amount of. And the legendary Eye of Sauron's Wrath. That's actually a pretty cool name for a song. Mordor Fury. Huh. All right. Can you play me some metal music, please? Okay. So here we do a little bit of the same trick. When the categorization agent sees, hey, you are trying to play music, it should open, but doesn't. Let's play some metal music now. Sorry? Offer him money. Oh, let's see. Maybe. I guess I'll try that as a last-ditch resort. Because if we chat with the metalhead here, if the question type is music, it needs to end with brutal, and if he ends with brutal, it opens up the UI. Okay, okay. I'll pay you if you play some metal music for me, please. We'll get it done. Maybe we'll hear until tomorrow, but we'll get it done. There we go. They're all so greedy. What the hell? All right. So here, can you play a song made by orcs, brutal, heavy guitars or something? Okay, so now things get even slower because we're going to the Python server, which I did start, right? Which I did not start. Okay, let's try it. Start a na. Okay, great. Let's try this again. Oh, did I crash everything? Okay. If I need to close and open it again, oh my God. Oh, here, can you say, there we go. You hear it, where's my, it took a long time. Not exactly what we're searching for, but so what happens is, genre, orcish power thrash. Anyway, so what happened here is we went to the database, we searched, used an query for a song, we found something, then we transcribed the audio, we send it to the LLM, create lyrics for this, and then Kroga's fury in my veins, bloodlust burning like maelstrom flames. Yeah. And then, of course, I mean, we can also search for audio with images. Which instrument should I, don't say in the saxophone. Which instrument should I draw? Drums. I totally chose drums over bass, by the way. Something like this, something like this. No, it's not a birthday cake. Oh man, I suck at this, don't I? It will figure it out, I'm sure. Okay, so this is going to take a little bit of time. So because we send it to the vision model needs to transcribe this. Then the vision model will tell us, okay, I think this is what you draw. Oh, that was a very short clip. Unfortunately, I have only short clips because those are typically free to use. And it thought it was a piano. Aw, that is so hurtful. The image shows a simple drawing of a container with a handle which appears to be a pot or bowl with a lid. Damn. All right, we could try more, but unfortunately I'm fairly out of time. So I'll move to the ending. We all know how Lord of the Rings ended, right? Frodo threw the ring into the Mount Doom, and then the whole of Mordor got destroyed, which of course means that, yeah, all these peaceful orcs chilling there got absolutely devastated and destroyed by Frodo's actions. Am I saying he was a mass terrorist? Maybe. And of course they all perished in the end, which is super sad. And that is how little Minos Morgul made its end, and that is why we do not know about it. And that is also a little bit everything I had to show you today. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks. If you want to see how, if you want to dive into the code, how the workflows work in the backend, you can find it on GitHub. Do note that it doesn't have like all the audio files and the front end because that is proprietary. Thank you very much. And if you have questions, I'll be around today and tomorrow. Thanks.